This is Ken Pyle with ViodiTV. We're at the American Cable Association's annual meeting with Bob Gessner of Massillon Cable in Ohio. Bob, you guys, you're a second-generation cable person. Your company has always been very innovative, both in terms of bringing out new technology and working with the community. We're here at the ACA's event. What sort of things should we be looking for?
Well, things to look for, that's going to be interesting. I think we'll have a couple interesting things going on here. Of course, today during the sessions, we're going to hear from the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission and a couple other people from the regulatory and legislative bodies. So they should have some interesting things to say to us. We certainly have a lot of great sponsors here with us this week. And you can see all sorts of new technology and that sort of thing.
So what are some of the pressing things from a regulatory and legislative standpoint that you and your fellow members of ACA are seeing?
Well, number one goal for us as cable operators during this event is to make and renew our relationship with legislators. I mean, that's our number one goal. Even if we don't have a specific target in mind, we want to improve those relationships because we'll need them in the future. Probably the number one thing for us this week is retransmission consent. And beyond that, in the larger scope, it's programming costs and the terms and conditions under which we're forced to operate by the media conglomerates.
Well, and as a smaller operator, one that's not as large as the top 5 or top 15 even operators, the challenges that you face when you're dealing with the programmers who really have all the power.
Yeah, true, and actually we're like top 50, so and that makes us pretty big, which is interesting. There are almost 1,000 cable companies in the United States, so you can see how there's a long tail there of very small operators. Obviously, two of the strongest things we have going for us as small operators is one is the ACA, which brings us together to have one voice of the independent cable industry, and the other is the National Cable Television Cooperative, which works as a buying cooperative for those same roughly 900 companies. Between them, the co-op and the ACA, we become a pretty strong force. One of our largest struggles, though, is convincing our suppliers, programmers and hardware suppliers, that we really should be treated like one large company rather than lots of little independent companies that they can beat up a lot more easily.
And there's some of that kind of this bifurcation of, on one hand, you've got the kind of the national deals of your regular cable TV programming, but then you also have the local broadcast where you have to do the retransmission, as you mentioned. Oh,
absolutely, and the difference there is night and day. No, it's not night and day; it's more dawn and dusk, maybe. The program suppliers beat us up pretty hard, no matter what. Largely because, as most people in our industry would know, they're all one and the same. There are really only about 6 families of program suppliers, and they are owned by the broadcasters. ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox own Disney, ESPN, USA, and MTV, and so forth. So they're really already combined. The local broadcast stations, who aren't the owned and operated affiliates, though do exert a huge amount of power in our local markets, and the NCTC is not really able to efficiently and effectively negotiate with them as a group. So it does become very problematic.
And you get this whole wholesale bundling issue, right?
Well, not so much with the local broadcasters. The local broadcasters are only looking out for that one market, that one station. But yes, in terms of the other program networks that are out there, an NBC or a Fox or a Discovery, everything bundled together and forced down toward the lowest level of content, lowest level of service, does lead to very rapid increases in subscriber costs. And that's very difficult, especially when it comes to sports programming, through the roof.
And so we've talked a little bit about the programming, and obviously we could go into depth on that. But just this is the question I want to ask kind of all the participants here, as far as challenges. What challenge would you say is your biggest challenge as an operator? Is there any one challenge?
Well, there are plenty of them, but they're pretty much, I think, the challenges of all industries. But I do think it is different, and it is a challenge to be a smaller company in a big company ecosystem. You know, when you think of, you know, a company like ours competes with an AT&T and a Time Warner, you know, just completely different worlds in which we operate. And, you know, we have to find our strengths and attack their weaknesses, just as they try to exercise their strengths against us. So it's always a challenge, but you know, we think we can be more nimble, we can be a little more local, we can certainly have a better customer approach, better touch with our customers. So, you know, we struggle through, but it's always fun.
Well, and you've been doing it for almost 50 years, so there's something there.
Yep, it's been a great time.
Well, Bob, I appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Ken.